days of athletes pushing the limits of mind and body. Now, when you consider an elite athlete, they train 4 to 6 hours a day for 6 days a week. They train basically for one event that lasts potentially, 10 seconds every 4 years. So these guys are persistent. These are the secrets that they've got. And working with them, I understand how that mindset works. Having been at the elite level of martial arts, I kind of get it. With state and national titles, I kind of understand what goes on in their head. I also understand what it's like not to make it. Okay? We were torn ACL medial meniscus just in the Christmas '99 before the Olympic trials in January 2000. So potentially, we've got to look at this and go, right, how do we put this in business? How do we spin it into your life? So how can we get you breaking records in your life? Breaking through those mental barriers. Now, elite athletes, what they do, I'll go through the 10 secrets. They have a dream. They have a dream. And they commit to it. What happens if you didn't have a dream? Why would you get out of bed in the morning? See, motivation is only possible when you have direction. If you don't have a direction, where are you going to go? Are you really going to wake up and put 100% into your day, not knowing why you're doing it, who you're doing it for, and who's going to benefit? So you need to understand the dream. So if you don't have a dream, choose one. This is where I want to be at this point of time. Because the dream is only going to become a reality when you know what you actually want to chase and give them a timeline. I'll go off track here a little bit and go, right, if you're looking at someone who wants to lose weight, I want to lose weight. The 2 questions I'm going to ask, how much and by when? Because you don't know those, how do you know what level of action you need to take? It's quite a simple process, isn't it? Elite athletes, they have a level of belief. You know, the 1500 metre freestyle race? Apparently, it wasn't possible to break the 15-minute barrier. The 10-second 100 metres. You know, the first time that 10-second was actually broken was about 2004. Yet the London 2012 Olympics, everyone who finished that final in the 100 metre sprint beat the 10-second barrier. So things move. These athletes, they're going to keep pushing the limits of mind and body until they get it. So elite athletes, despite fear and uncertainty, they go for it. Fear, what is it? Can anyone got a fear of sharks?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of
Michelle, can you have a fear of sharks in this room? No? Why not?
There's no sharks here.
Okay. You're standing on the beach, can you have a fear of sharks?
No, not really. They don't have legs and it.
So if you've got 1 foot in the water, can you have a fear of sharks?
You can, WA.
Not possible. But they're in there, aren't they? You can guarantee they're in there. But if you're up to your neck in water and there's one hanging off your leg, is that fear?
Reality.
No, it's reality. So where does fear start?
In your head.
Fear is up in your head. So with these elite athletes, they've got a fear. And generally, most of them have actually got a fear of success, not a fear of failure. Because if you had... Can I borrow someone's pen from her?
It's only a pencil.
Anyone got a fear of snakes?
Snakes.
You've got a fear of everything, and you live out in the bush.
No sharks in the bush.
Sorry?
No sharks in the bush, it's all good.
Oh, there is. There is in business.
There are in cars.
So if that was a snake and you had a fear of it, where would you go?
I would stand very still. Because that's what they tell you to do. Don't you? You're not that?
With a fear of snakes and it's coming towards you, where would you go? She's starting to panic already, so I'll move that away. See, generally...
I know, it's still supposed to stand still.
See, what
like to
happens,
walk
most
away.
people, when they've got a fear, actually move away from it, don't they? Got a fear of snakes, they go. Fear of sharks, they go. Fear of failure, what would happen? You'd move away from it, wouldn't
Why
you?
don't try?
Moving away from failure would take you towards success, wouldn't it?
Well, depending which way you go.
Moving away from failure, it's either way,
Yes,
you're
okay.
going towards success.
Yeah.
But what if you had a fear of success?
You got to feel the failure.
Yes, you actually get taken towards failure.
Oh, yeah.
So most people have actually got what we call a stuck state. They're scared of the past. They don't want to go towards that. They're scared of failure, but they're also scared of success. So if you've got 2 opposing energies in your head, you've got a lot of internal conflict and you generally don't move too far. So we're going to work through how we can break down these barriers. The right technique will help you. Like I said, for elite athletes, I work with their mind. I work at that deep unconscious level of their mind, not the conscious mind, which is where all the excuses seem to sit. The deep unconscious level is all your values. It's who you are as a person, it's your morals, your standards, that gut instinct that says, right, let's go do it. You hear little buts in your head? Yeah, but. See, anything after a but is what we call an excuse. I want to, but. I know I can, but. Those buts are created through past experiences. Past experiences are generally attached to emotions. If there's something from the past that's attached to a negative emotion, it generally creates a lot of fear. Because your mind will say, oh, I won't go and pack that snake, because logic says that I've learned in the past that it's probably a dangerous thing to do. So you stay away from it. So our unconscious mind is only here for one reason. It's there to protect you from any potential hurt or potential harm, physically or emotionally. So if you're feeling fear, it's because it's your unconscious mind going, this could be hurtful somehow, physically or emotionally. As long as you're aware of it, you can then push through it. So you have to be aware of exactly what you're thinking and what you're feeling at that time. Persistence. Marty's probably a classic example of, in business, persistence. How many people just go, it's all too tough, it's all too hard. We hear the stories when I first started working with Marty 4 or 5 years ago now as a mentor. He's basically saying, right, we're going to dig. We know there's gold there. But out of 10 people, 2 don't even start digging. They don't even turn up to the first day. At the end of the first day, it's all too hard for them. Too sore, can't do it, not willing to dig. But it's that 2%, the 20%, the 2 out of 10 will be there at the end. I've got to admit, I laughed at Marty when he first said that, because we had a team of 10 people. And I go, I work with mindset, I'm good. Guess what? Myself and Todd left out of 10 people. And that's it. So consider what happens. Elite athletes have a strong support network. Okay? So you're going to see some Olympians. They're going to have some incredible success. It's not individual sport. It's now a team sport for that one athlete. Back in 2008, I used to travel around with a national sprint and hurdle champion, female. Okay? She had a PR person. She had the massage therapist. She had me. She had the coach. She had a photographer. She had herself, she had a massage therapist. So a team of 6 people travelling around the country, purely working with her to get to that peak performance level. So as you look at it individually, yes, we're all individuals here within the one company, but we've also got an incredible support team around us that we can draw on at any time. Because I know I still talk to Todd and go, back in his GMM days, this is where we are, this is where we're going. Are we on track? Are we focused? That's why we've got mentors, that's why we've got CEOs, that's what we've got Charter Board for. We're here to support your own individual journey. Elite athletes have a single point of focus. This is one thing I've noticed with any athlete. They have one incredible skill and ability in their life. The rest of their life is an absolute disaster. It seriously is. You can run fast and that's about it. Financially you're a mess. Emotionally you're a mess. Relationships are a mess. Friendships are a mess. So half the time when I'm working with people, it's not about what they're actually doing on field, it's the external distractions. It's all the stuff that isn't going right in their life. And they're potentially the ones that are holding them back. So when you commit to that dream, make that decision and go, right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to commit to this. And we all get to that point where you just go, yeah, I can. I'm pushing. When is it going to happen? That's where the persistence cuts in. So all these factors coming together will give you the right technique. Will give you the right skills. Will give you the right belief. And that's what they've got, this incredible belief on that dream, and they're willing to do whatever it takes. Speed and strength. Any gold medalist is not going to be there if they don't put the extra effort in. When you commit physically, emotionally, they are exhausted at the end of it. Whether it's a 100-metre sprint, whether it's a marathon. Either way, you look at it and there's basically that next step, they're exhausted. Swimmers, as I say, they get interviewed and you can see where the redness is in their shoulders. It is incredible what they do and how they can train their mind and body to basically just achieve. One step further, they're useless. So you've got to have that ability to be able to focus on strength. And it's got to be beyond the normal. A gold medalist is not going to be given a gold medal just for being average. And as I say to a lot of my athletes, you've got to be doing something different. The calls I started making on Monday to all the CEOs and the coaches of all the NRL teams, one of the conversations I had was, but that's too different. I said, mate, sitting at number 12 on the ladder, you need to be doing something different. And if you're not doing something different, you're only going to be expected to be average at the elite level. Now the 16 NRL team, so basically from 8, they've actually lost more than they've actually won. Yet they're still at that level. Oh, we want to do the same as everyone else. This is too weird, it's too out there. Well, if you're going to keep doing the same as everyone else in your lives, you're only going to be average at that level. So think about what you want to do on that extra difference. The Commonwealth Games gold medalist, you know, the pommel horse, the gymnast, that really dangerous looking thing. I was talking to him one day and he said, Stu, we've got this 5 basic fundamentals of the pommel horse. He said, I worked on the first one for 6 months, the second one for 6 months, the third one for 6 months, and I put it all together and it only took me 3 weeks to do it. But every one of those factors, and he said, look, every gymnast trains 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. He said, if I only did that, I'm only going to be average. So he turned up 15 minutes before training and he left 15 minutes later. That extra 30 minutes multiplied by the 6 training sessions, 3 hours per week, he said, that's the gold medal. So what are you willing to do more to get those results? Elite athletes understand pain, they push through it. Anyone been at that level of being elite athletes where you just physically cannot do any more? Okay, you push and push and push, you know there's going to be a level of pain. And that's one thing that they have to understand is the unconscious mind is there for protection. So you can imagine in typical life, you've got, I know I'm going to force myself into a huge level of hurt. The unconscious mind is saying, don't do it. So therefore there's a lot of self-sabotage, there's a lot of doubts, there's a lot of fear about having to push yourself through those barriers. But when you push through those barriers, it is incredible the results you get. The motivation, the euphoria, the feel-good endorphins, the belief that you get. And that's what we're going to be working through. The fun one, I perform at the perfect state. It's all about peak performance level. When I work with athletes, it's about setting that adrenaline level. Now for a sprinter, you've got a massive adrenaline level. It's got to be on, it's got to be fast, because in 10 seconds it's all over. We're 9:58 these days, 9:80 something. Whereas a marathon runner is totally different. You can't expect to go at the same mental space. Imagine a boxer. If you get that wrong, they're in hospital or dead. And having come from a martial arts background, I understand that if you're not switched on, you're gone. Because you've got someone in front of you basically trying to kill you. You have to be in the right headspace. Otherwise, if you step in the ring with the mindset of a lawn bowler, it's not going to work, is it? And vice versa. Imagine a boxer on the lawn bowling green. That's the interesting part about it. You've got to get that perfect level of balance. So with the athletes, I use Sam Perrott as an example from the Bulldogs. Now what we've actually done with him is create the persona of the black maned lion. He's proud, he's tall, he's out there. Every tackle that you see, he's always going for it. He gets his claws in there, he's tackling. We've picked up a lot of the traits of that black maned lion. What also happens is nothing happens. He can be sitting on the bench, he can be sitting in the locker rooms, and he's in the right headspace. Just nice and chilled and relaxed. The coach is yelling and screaming, getting them all hyped up, and he's going, no, don't need to. But as soon as Sam steps on that white line to run on the field, bang, he's in the zone. And that's what we need to do, because if you've all seen a football game prior to going out, you see them in the locker rooms, they're all hyped up, they're sweating, they're tackling, they're exhausted before they even run in. So they're building up the energy before you even step on the field. You step on the field and all of a sudden energy starts dropping off. It's wasted. Imagine that energy that's lost prior to the starting of the game. Imagine you could replace that, so the whole 40 minutes, switch on, play 40 minutes, switch off. It'll be great, wouldn't it? And that's how the mind can actually work. You've got to perform at that perfect state for you. So you can't sprint a marathon. Well, has anyone ever been on the treadmill? My friend here. What speed are you doing at the moment?
8
8?
miles an hour, yeah.
The other day I thought I'd have a bit of a play. I jumped it up to 14 k's an hour, then I jumped up to 16 k's an hour, and then 18 k's. It is literally a sprint. If you look at these marathon runners, they will be running just over 2 hours for 42 k's. It's about 20 k's an hour.
Oh,
If you get an opportunity to run on a treadmill, for the sake of make sure you get that emergency stop because you're going to shoot off the back. But seriously, I have never really understood what it's like. If you ever see the marathon runners, as you will in Rio, you're going to have people pretending, they're going to run on the side to see how fast they go. You're always going to have people sprinting on the side. They'll last you about 200 metres and bang, they're gone. It is incredible the speed that these guys go because they are in that right state. Half the time they're not even there, they're just in the automatic zone, and that's all we do. We train our bodies, but eventually over time it becomes what we call muscle memory, like golfers. Okay, you get Tiger Woods, you get a ball, you get a stick, and you like a machine. And that's all we do because over time it becomes repetition. The muscles remember the experience, the neurons, and the neural pathways form in your mind. It just becomes an automatic response. There's a lot of automatic responses that we have that we can break down as well. And the best way to do that, I'll give you a bit of an example, is to break through the barriers. Breaking through the barriers requires something different to what you've normally done. It's going to create an element of fear, uncertainty, doubt. Can I do it? And that's why people like myself exist, to help these people through. Like I also exist to help you guys with anything you want. 10 secrets of the elite athlete. Number 11, do more than necessary. Knowledge is power. You ever heard that one? Knowledge is power? Knowledge is only power when it's applied. You can have all the knowledge in the world about what you need to do, how you need to do it. You can have all the knowledge about, okay, let's go to Google, and you go, right, learn to swim. All the study in the world is not going to help you if you just chuck in a book. Do you think you're going to recall that information? So knowledge is power only when it's applied. So, we're going to apply some knowledge now. For some, it might bring some tears up. We're going to release some emotions. We're going to break through some barriers. So have a think now about...
Make a puppy back session after, no worries. I'm very good at
After puppies. Have a think about what barriers are stopping you. Just quickly, jot it down, have a thought in your mind. What are the barriers that you think you have towards success?
Have some paper.
Barriers,
Does
one bit
anyone
of
else
paper,
need
2 bit of paper.
Oh, look at you.
If you
have
could break
double.
through this, your life would be incredible. What is that one thing that you would like to break through? Sorry?
Rowan, she's too scared.
Okay. Have we go? All good? 19mm thick plywood. Not pre-cut. Anyone want to test it? So this is something that, for me, it took me 5 years of training to even get to this one point. Okay? For one of you lucky volunteers, it's going to take 2 minutes. Yes, I said volunteers. When, as we've gone through those 10 secrets, when you have the right focus, when you have the right technique, when you can put fear aside, when you are persistent, when you have support, you will go through this. It hurts more if you don't break it. Okay? So think about that. It hurts more if you don't break it. So, 19mm thick. Who believes that they can break this? Okay. Michelle, happy birthday. Come on up.